Happiest of Friday, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Fly Like an Eagle podcast. I'm here. I'm Kyle. That's Scott. We're here every single Wednesday evening. It's the bye week. We're here on Friday. We had nothing better to do, so it is what it is. I literally just got done a 4-day water fast, which I'm really happy with the results. I'll make a video about that later on if you guys are interested. But it was awesome. It was exhilarating, and it completely changed my pattern on what I go about in my life. But with that said, I'm not here to bore you about that right now. We got to talk about this fucking football team during the bye week because there's a lot of talking. The biggest cause of concern that I want to bring up is the coaching. But before I do that, I want to go to Scotty and I want to ask you a question. Do you think that this team is what it is after we saw after the Buccaneers game, or do you think this team is more like they were in Brazil after the Green Bay game?
What's going on, everyone? First off, good to be here. We're doing this a little bit late this week, but better late than never. I guess we're kind of sleeping like the Eagles were sleeping in that game against Tampa. It's a great question, Kyle. And the true honest answer is we don't know. We truly don't know. At this point, we're an average football team, and we don't know what to expect week to week. Now, looking at the 4 games that they played, you could say that they did play decent to good teams. I mean, the Falcons are now 3-1, or I'm sorry, they're 3 and the Falcons and the Bucks are both 3-2, winning records. We saw Green Bay win with Malik Willis 2 games. Yes, they lost to the undefeated Vikings and the resurgence of Sam Darnold. And then you beat an average Saints team. So it's not like they lost to bottom feeders. Now, after the bye, they have a bottom feeder string. Again, we're done being cocky because we just want to win. We just need to win games. We're not trying to, I don't know. Obviously, you should handily defeat the Browns, the Giants, the Bengals. You know, they barely beat the Panthers, honestly, especially their defense. They let Andy Dalton score 24 points. Then you have the winless Jags coming up after that. I think we will be better after the bye, number one, because we're playing the Browns. Number two, we're getting our starters back. And if they don't play better, with all that said, I mean, we're just not good. So to finally answer the question, I think it's a combination of both. But we still, we haven't had, I mean, again, we said this all last year where we hadn't played a complete game, but it's even more true this year because we've looked pretty good and absolutely terrible in every single game this year.
Literally. No, I mean, I agree with you 100%. Now, if all the talent comes back healthy, the talent that we won against Green Bay with in Brazil, if they come back, our defense gets the pressure that is non-existent thus far in the season, and we look like we did against the Buccaneers, against the Browns, the Jags, and the next 2 other teams that we play, that's coaching. And that means that the team at that point gave up on the coaching because you can't look as good as you did on that shitty field in Brazil against a Green Bay Packers team that has a stud of a quarterback, absolute stud. They have a ton of talent. They were in the playoffs last year. They're really balanced. They came this close to coming back on Minnesota Vikings last week, who are one of my top teams in the league this week, and we'll get to our power rankings later. But if they come and put on a performance like they did against the Buccaneers with every single player back and healthy, I'm going to say that's the coaching, and you either got to fire Nick and hopefully another person takes over and it's more successful, or you just roll with it and we just lose and tank and everyone's gone and we just start over the franchise. So
now, are you talking about firing him mid-season?
Well, I mean, if you're going to fire him mid-season, you're bringing in Bill Belichick. Like, that's just what you're doing. You know, you're not
mid-season. You're bringing him in now or next year?
Yeah, because listen to me.
That'll never happen.
I know it will never happen, but what I'm saying is that Bill Belichick, he's a Hall of Fame coach. He has 8 total Super Bowl rings as a defensive coordinator and a head coach. You bring in someone like that almost immediately to work with Jalen, because Jalen can throw to the same extent as Tom Brady when in the pocket. He can. And I know that sounds foolish, But if you have him stay in the pocket and look down the field and survey, he has a nice pocket ball. He does. So Bill Belichick will teach him that. But the thing is I don't even know why I'm talking about this right now. The thing with Nick Sirianni is he needs to get this locker room back, and he needs to get it back quick, or else this is going to go very south for him quickly. Because I know I've been harsh on Jalen Hurts the last couple of weeks, understandably so. We view it as in the time and not as a grand scheme of things. We view it as what it is now and not what it was, And I view it as Jalen is good when he has his talent around him. That's what I view it as. A.J. Brown, Smitty, Saquon, Goddard, everyone has to be around him for him to succeed. And I think that's an obvious, that's not even a guess. That's an obvious because he couldn't do anything with Paris Campbell last week, Goddard, and Jahan Dotson. He couldn't do anything, not even with Saquon. So, I mean, you need those guys for him to succeed. And if they suck when they all come back, that's a coaching issue, and you got to get rid of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'll mention one thing about Bill Belichick, and I have a question for you because I feel like the perception, obviously, last year they were 4-13 or whatever their record was. Mm-hmm. Do you think his media presence, and I've seen him like on the Manning cast, and the Pat McAfee show, do you think that's improved people's opinion of him because they're seeing, this guy is the real deal. He's still a great coach. He's still intelligent. He knows the game inside and out.
He doesn't need to prove to me that he's a great coach. The 8 rings show it all. He's always been a great coach.
So you weren't saying that it was all Tom Brady. That's why the Patriots were good.
It's both of them. They both came together. They both worked. His defense was great every single year. He's defensive coordinator. He's a great mind. He could get that defense and defensive coach shaped up in a heartbeat. I just think he'd be a right fit for here, but I don't think that's going to happen because I think Jalen's going to perform when they come back. It's just a secondary option because I think Bill Belichick will come here in a heartbeat. So Nick is definitely on the hot seat. Like his seat isn't warm; it's hot. So I mean, it's one of those things,
Now, I'm sure you've heard Jason Kelce defend him, and we heard players. And another thing is, I was just looking this up yesterday. Nick Sirianni literally called Jalen Hurts Michael Jordan, and doesn't get any higher praise than that. So how could there be friction if someone gives you that type of compliment? How could you not like someone if they call you Michael Jordan?
Well, it's friction because it might not bother Jalen Hurts, or maybe it does because that's an amount of pressure on him, out of nowhere.
Oh, so you don't think he liked that comment?
I don't necessarily
even though he wore the Michael Jordan shirt to a game.
I don't necessarily think he disliked it, but when you call someone Michael Jordan, someone who has never lost an NBA Finals playing 6 times, that's going to bother people outside of the room, because MJ was one of the most favorite players in all 4 sports in history. People talk about him and LeBron. They're both phenomenal players. Who's better? When you're putting someone on a pedestal of Michael Jordan and they have 1 loss in the Super Bowl, not even a win, that's a little early. And I'm sorry, that is something that you just don't say in that moment. And it creates a ton of pressure. And maybe
was that after the Bills game last year, or was that 2022? I think it was the Bills game.
Well, if it was after the Bills game, it took a week for that to shut up.
Yeah, for sure. About Sirianni, again, I don't know, because I feel like the players say he's a great leader and a great culture setter and whatever, but they're not playing like that. So I don't know. Would you, people, it's all player, coach, interview, media talk, but I don't know. Would they be saying that if they didn't mean it and they really are they hate him and they just don't like him? I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. All we can judge is the games. That's what matters, the win or the loss. And that Tampa game was totally awful. I mean, it was probably one of the worst coached Eagles games in a while. I mean, honestly, not really, because look at the last half of last year.
Yeah.
Now I was still optimistic that they could come back in that game because, what you said versus the Saints, you kind of felt like a resiliency with this team. Of course, they didn't come back and win. And that was mostly because of the Jalen Hurts fumble again on the strip sack, because they were right on the 20-yard line. I also found out that was first down when that happened. It wasn't like it was 4th and goal and they, it was, you had to make a play. If they would have scored that touchdown, it would have been a 10-point game and the momentum would have shifted. And that's what we forget, that the NFL is all about momentum. I mean, look at Atlanta last night when they were down and then they just took the game over and they won it in overtime.
I called that, by the way. I said Atlanta money line.
Yeah, and I kind of rode with you there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this team is still a total mystery. I think a couple days removed from the game, like Samuel Mays said, he thinks the Eagles will win the next 4. And I'm curious of your opinion, Kyle. If they do win the next 4, obviously the competition isn't good. What will your opinion be? Does it matter like how they win to change your opinion?
My opinion will be that they're 6-2. So that'll be my opinion. I mean, you could look at it as if they're sloppy wins, they're not sloppy wins. If they're 6-2, they're one of the better teams in the league at that point.
Well, look, they were 10-1 last year.
They were, and they were the best team in the league. So it's like you could fall off a mountain. You could think that a team is shitty based off of how they play. Now, I thought that them being 10-2 last year, you're right. I thought them being 10-2 last year after that Niners loss, I thought they were one of the worst teams in the league after that loss, and it took one loss to persuade me. So
you were right, and I didn't even, I don't think anyone thought that.
Because that game, they just fell apart. Like this game against the Buccaneers, it just seemed like they didn't even want to play it from the start. Maybe it was the weather. Maybe it was the temperature on the field.
You didn't think that they were going to come back at all?
No, I did. I thought they had a shot. But like you said, he fumbled. He got the strip sack. He stepped up in the pocket, completely forgetting about the guy that he dodged was right behind him. I thought they had a chance to come back in that game, but I also think in the back of their minds that we have players on this team that know what they're dealing with. And the fact that we didn't have Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown probably put something in the defense's mind that Hurts was going to have trouble doing it. So they probably didn't try as hard.
And another underrated point I haven't heard people talk about is all the special teams errors last week, like out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. And that's on coaching. Like if all 3 phases are not on point, like that is coaching.
Yep.
And it's weird. And didn't Jake Elliott miss a kick too?
Yeah, he's been fucking awful this year.
I mean, I wouldn't say awful, but yeah, he was really, really good last year. He was like our best player, arguably. Yeah, so again, if all 3 phases are sleeping, and you can't, I mean, again, I did blame a lot of it on the Heat, or I thought that was a valid excuse, but like it was very, very concerning. And of course, we've heard a lot about Sirianni. That's why we're talking about this topic of him being on the hot seat. I don't know if it's an overreaction. I think a little bit. It's a wait and see type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you were going to get rid of him, like we said, and I think you wanted him gone too, like they should have did it in January.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I agree. Like, I just feel like this is more on Howie and Lurie than it is on Nick Sirianni. Because you look at Nick Sirianni and you think back last year, why is he here other than getting us to the Super Bowl? Like, that was such a shitty end to the season. Why would he be back? And that's where I look back to Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, because if you look at those two, they're the ones that decide to hire him and keep him. So maybe they're thinking that they could keep him as a puppet, tell him what to do, and he does exactly what they want, even though they shouldn't even be able to be on the field during the game, let alone tell him anything. So
yeah, but hopefully they're not telling him these decisions that he's been making. God damn, right?
Yeah.
Because that would be like, oh my God, like this is coming from somebody else, not even him. That's really concerning. Another point I want to make is I watch a couple podcasts on the regular. I watch Eagle Eye with Ruben Frank and Dave Zangaro every week. Mm-hmm. And I actually found this newer podcast. These 2 guys, they make shows every single day. I'm not sure if I feel bad. I would give them a shout out. I'll look them up by the end of the show. but they talk a lot about, just the structure and foundation of this organization where, their defense philosophy. I think you're laughing at King's comment. That was like the most random fucking thing I've ever seen our comment on this show. I don't even know where the hell that came from, and we won't acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Even though I just did.
Yeah, you hypocrite.
And they're also saying like they think this is a repeat of 2017 to now. Like they make the Super Bowl, the quarterback gets like fucked up, gets like mentally and physically injured, and then it's like the past repeating itself. Do you give any merit to that where it's like this is the past repeating itself and there is some core issues with the organization, or it's just the players? Because I mean, they have been to 2 Super Bowls in 8 years. So, and not a lot of other teams can say that. So how could their foundation be fucked up?
Nah, honestly, like I had some time to sleep on it the last 4 days. I just think it's a shitty start to the season because our key players are out. That's just how I view it. I mean, when they come back, we'll have a real grasp on how everything is going. Obviously, we're not playing a good team until November, but this is a chance for us to rack up some wins, find an identity, get some key pieces at the deadline, try to put this team together, and try to go win another Super Bowl.
I mean, that's definitely optimistic. And also, we forget how good Lane Johnson is. And remember, before this little era with Sirianni, if Lane Johnson didn't play, we didn't win. Like that win-loss record without him was like real.
And it was guaranteed last week.
Yeah, guaranteed that we lost because he didn't play?
Pretty much, yeah. It showed
we didn't predict that, but like that was a reminder, right?
Yeah, it was a big reminder that we need him, and it's even bigger that we don't have a replacement for him down the road.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely something we can address in the draft, for sure. Another point I want to make is we have to be honest. We only won the Saints game and kind of came back or like scored fucking more than 10 points is because of Saquon Barkley. And he has not had that many carries the past 2 weeks. No. What is your opinion on that? Like why are they not using their best player?
Well, in a short answer, the reason why they're not giving him carries is because we're always starting down in the game and you have to throw the ball when you're down. So it's like that's why they're not running the ball. But honestly, like when you have a back like that, if you look at the whole season in the grand scheme of things, they really haven't been running them as much as I thought they would to begin with.
Because they don't like running the ball. Is that still the philosophy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe they just want to see what Jalen Hurts can do on his own. I don't know.
With no receivers.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, why sign a running back to $13 million a year if you're not going to utilize him?
And he's still like number 2 in rushing, right? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I think behind what is it? Dobbs, right?
No, I think it's Kamara.
Oh, is Kamara one now? I know the Chargers running back because he's like their only.
Oh, J.K. Dobbs. I think it's J.K. Dobbins, Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara, Jonathan Taylor, and I'm missing somebody, but it's there. It's somebody. Yeah, I'm forgetting.
Yeah. So if he is like top 3, whatever, I think he's number 2 still. With getting 15 carries last week, I mean, come on now. Like, you have to – and again, with your wide receivers out, like, that's just a bad game plan. Now, Vita Vea is – I mean, we saw him last night. Like, this dude's a future star. Like, if not already.
And let me get to the comment section real quick. Listen, King, it's not that I hold anything back. All right. It's not that I hold anything back. It's that I'm sick of stressing the same opinions over and over and over again. When you do that and nobody listens or cares to listen to you, it doesn't matter. I said Jalen Hurts stunk 3 years ago and people were like, oh, he went to the Super Bowl. What do you think now? And then the next year he stunk again. So it's like if you keep saying the same thing over and over and over again and people only credit you, never, and then they'll bash you whenever you're wrong, the smidge you're wrong. What do you want me to do? There's nothing I can do. So I'm not saying I hold back. I'm sick of talking about it.
No, and King, I'm reading your comments now. I wasn't like, you can talk about the Eagles and Jalen Hurts sucks. Like, I'm fine with that. It was your comment before that, like out of the blue with some weird ass shit. Like I don't even know where any of that. Oh, because you were talking about Bill Belichick or something in here. But yeah, we don't need that other controversy. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But feel free to comment about the Eagles, whatever you want to say. 100%.
Yeah, listen, like I'm all for showing comments on the YouTube, but like if we're bringing uproar and it turns like something,
and it's not even relevant right now. Like that has nothing to do with anything.
It's cool. I'll show your comment right now. All right, sorry guys, that's fine. Listen, there's no need to be sorry. I mean, you're speaking your opinion. It's just I have a co-host where I have to be on the same page with. I know who I am, but he's a completely different person. So it's like I have to be compatible with him. I can't just be myself. That's just how it is. And
yeah, but you still are yourself.
Yeah, but like it's a show. It's not like I'm by myself. You know what I'm saying? So I have to adapt. And like I said before, like we don't talk politics. We don't do anything of that. We disagree on everything when it comes to politics. All right. And I've stressed that numerous times. We think differently on stuff, and that's okay. And we're still making the show work.
That's what makes the world go round in a good show in general, too.
Exactly. And we're still making the show work. This is like the 29th show we're on. We're great at this. So it's like we don't have to talk about all that other bullshit. We're just here to talk about the birds and entertain you guys. If you want to talk to me in my DMs, go on my Twitter and just have a conversation with me. And I won't hold back there. Or, I mean, I never hold back, but it's the same shit,
Yeah, but King, of course you're welcome to comment, and I appreciate beat you engaging, and yeah, it was the prudent thing. I'll just say just to clear that up.
Yeah, people want Gruden back in the league.
But back to the birds. Let's talk about Slay on Micah Parsons' podcast. Your initial reactions to that whole decision, and what he said.
I think Slay just needs to dig a grave and jump in it and not bury himself, obviously, because I'm not that big of a douche. But I think he just needs to chill the fuck out a little bit. Because, first of all, you already have Philly fans having you on a scope. Like, they already almost don't like you. So it's like the fact that you go on a Cowboys podcast, whatever, friends with them, whatever, it's cool. The fact that you go on his podcast and pretty much diss CJ Gardner-Johnson for his play on the field against Tampa Bay, and you're smiling about it, like you should have the captain just ripped off your chest. Like that, you should not be a captain. You're a great player. I'll acknowledge it. You're a great player. You had one of the best defended plays during the game last week, and I'll acknowledge you for that. But
not that it mattered.
No, but here's the thing. Just because you make great plays doesn't mean you put down your other teammates, bro. Like, you have to play cohesively. You have to play as one. And how is somebody that had a bad game going to take it when you say, you suck? Like, you're the captain. You're supposed to lift the team up. And that's just going to tear them down.
And just because you had a good game doesn't mean the defense had a good game. And that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. You're the captain. If you weren't the captain, whatever, be a dickhead. But you're the captain. You should be a leader on that team. You should not be tearing people down.
Yeah, and the only thing I can think of is he's just trying to build his career for after football and like his podcast.
He's gonna have one. He's gonna have one.
Yeah, I could see him on some type of show too or whatever.
Yeah.
But like the fact that he tweeted out his stats, I didn't even see it. I know he deleted it, but like, bro, you've been here since 2019. Mm-hmm. So like it's not like you're a free agent and you don't know this fan base and how we are after losses. So it's like, I don't know. He admitted he had like a moment. It was like being sensitive or whatever, but it's just it's not a good look, and it's weird. It's definitely concerning for sure.
Yeah, it really is. And it's like I hated every second of it. I watched some of that show, and it's just dumb. I actually during the season, I wish players didn't have a podcast. I wish that was a rule.
Okay, and I've seen that opinion a lot this week too. It's just it's a different league. I mean, it's kind of weird, with the jersey swapping thing at the end of the game, and I think LaShawn McCoy talked about it on his new show with Acho and James Jones and Chase Daniel, The Facility, which I hate. I think that name is so fucking stupid.
Stupid.
He was saying that, if you're boys with someone and you're playing them that week, you can hang out with them before, after the game, whatever, but you keep that on the low. Like, you don't like shove it in the fans' face, or you don't make it known.
Mhm.
And once it's game day, it's game day. So be showing that you're so buddy. Now, but the thing is, we're all competitive by nature, especially like men. I mean, not even every human, women too. So it's like, if you want to win the game, if you're competing against someone, you don't want them to like show you up. So it's not like they're not trying as hard because they're friends with the opponent or another teammate on the other side. But even McCoy made a good point, is that like you might be closer or better friends with someone on a different team than your own teammates.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a little weird, because if you are with someone for a year straight, like, you're going to most likely become friends with them.
I mean, but if you're gonna have players that are friends on the other team, but you have to think, like, you have to have that B-dog mentality where friends are nothing during the 3 hours during a football game. They're nothing. He turned into the Wolverine. He's a
exactly. If you're competitive, you want to win.
Yeah, exactly. It's your job. It's a business. You have to win. Your mind has to be out of everywhere else. It has to be on the field. If you're having friends during the game, that's just not going to cut it. Like, I'm sorry. You got to be fully invested in the game. You got to be back to Darius Slay that was in that Super Bowl, like almost won the Super Bowl. That's what we want you to be. We don't want you to be this fucking douchebag that nobody likes because you're a pompous asshole. Like, I'm sorry.
Now, do you think the culture changed where, like, kind of like Baker was saying, like, we want to have fun playing football, and it's not just about like putting your head in the dirt and like just working hard and being miserable? Or like,
I think it's dumb because, and hear me out on this, you're getting paid millions of dollars, and when you're getting paid millions of dollars to play,
that should be fun. That should be fun, right?
Yeah, but when you're getting paid millions of dollars to play a children's game, you have to play it to the best of your ability. When you're playing fun, you're talking about playing backyard football. All right, you got to do your job, and
it's work. It is work. We forget
it's hard. There's nothing fun about that. You know what's fun? Lifting up the Vince Lombardi Trophy, drinking Bud Lights afterwards, and celebrating with your teammates. That's fun. You could have that moment. There's a finish line. There's a finish line with everything in life. All right.
There's a finish line if you just win a game, like you celebrate in the locker room. We see it all the time.
There's a finish line. It's not like it ever ends. All right. There's a finish line. You have to work the hardest you possibly can with the time that you have, and then you can do whatever. You can have fun, do whatever, but you have to work your ass off within that time. And that's just how I see it.
We have a lot of interesting comments here that we can address if you want.
Brian, I don't care. People could curse if they want. Just keep it cordial. Nothing racist. Nothing dumb.
And King, we actually did have Philly 500 on once, and we do plan to have more guests on the show, and we would love to have him.
We had Joey Shakes on last week.
Oh, I forgot we didn't have Philly 500. I'm stupid.
Yeah, we had Shakes.
Yeah, my bad.
Yep.
But yeah, we definitely love. Kyle's talked to Philly 500 before. We could definitely get him on.
Yep.
I still can't believe how big Mark Holmes blew up, because I like remember when he first started.
Well, he blew up because he's a dumbass. That's why he blew up. Like, I mean, people like watch him.
He's fucking with Dan Sileo now. He like goes on there.
Yeah, like when you watch him, you just think dumb. Like the definition of dumb, you look at Mark Holmes and that's dumb. Like that's why people watch. It's not because they go for his takes or because he's smart. It's because
he uploads like multiple times a day too.
Mark Holmes here.
Like every single day. He's uploaded multiple videos every single day for like the past 5 years, maybe more.
Mm-hmm. Crazy. Yeah. No, I appreciate that, Arthur Morgan. I really appreciate that. But yeah, it's weird, man. Mark Holmes is something else.
No, for sure. Anything else we want to address here? These NFL
of course overpaid. Everyone's overpaid, but you gotta do your job, and that's it.
Any final thoughts on? Oh yeah, I want to go over the team stats real quick.
Okay.
before we get on to my stands of the week. The quarterback the quarterback stats are not good, clearly. He has 930 yards, completion percentage 68.2. He's got 4 passing touchdowns, 4 picks, and how many? And 2 rushing touchdowns. So he has 5 touchdowns, 4 picks. I don't see his fumbles on here, but we definitely need to look at that because he's fumbled a lot.
Yeah. How many rushing yards?
So what rushing yards? He has 163. He's averaging 3.9 yards a carry. What grade would you give Hurts?
B minus.
A B minus?
Yeah. I'm not going to be as harsh on him as other people. I'm aware that he dealt with like a pile of shit last week. I'm aware of that. So I'm going to wait.
But you were hard on him on our post game show.
I was hard on him because I just celebrated my birthday, and my birthday is actually this week. But like I celebrated my birthday weekend with the guys in AC. We had a good time, and you come back, you watch that with everyone, and it's just not even a game from the jump. That's why I was irritated. But if I look at the grand scheme of things, Jalen Hurts, you have to think when he has everyone around him, yes, he's a game manager. I understand that. And he's serviceable when everyone's around him. But when everyone is around him, you can't forget what the guy did in 2022. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to learn with it and I'm going to go with it. And we're going to see what happens.
For me, I'm giving him a C+. Just way too many turnovers. He's a turnover machine. You're not going to win anything turning the ball over as much as he has. I mean, we can both probably agree to that.
Yeah.
So until those turnovers subside, like throwing, maybe I don't even know, like you like fucking just one turnover every couple games. Like you can't be having multiple turnovers every fucking game.
No, especially when your boy Elliott Shore Park said he was perfect in training camp.
Yeah. Well, we know that doesn't mean anything.
It means jack shit. He should be banned.
Moving on to our best player or MVP of the team by far, Saquon Barkley. He's had 73 runs, 435 yards, averaging 6 yards a carry. He's already had a 65-yard run, 4 touchdowns. That's an A+ for me.
Okay. Who is that player again?
Saquon.
I agree. I would give him an A, not an A+.
Oh, why is that? Because of the drop.
Only because I expected a little bit more out of him this far this season. Just my thought. I'll give him an A, though.
Interesting. I mean, because he dropped that ball in the Falcons game?
Yes. I think you can't give him an A+. Like, you can't. I'll give him an
A. Dallas Goedert is our leading receiver. He has 24 catches for 301 yards. He's averaging 12.5 yards a catch. He had obviously that 61-yard run in the Saints game. I would give Dallas Goedert, I probably would give him like a B+.
I'll give him a B. I'm still not big on him. I mean, last year he kind of disappeared. The last game he kind of disappeared again, so I don't know.
Of course, we really can't. I mean, AJ only played one game. Of course, I would give him an A+ for the Packers game. 5 catches, 119 yards, averaging 23.8 yards a catch and a touchdown.
Yeah, it's one game.
He only played one game. Devontae Smith, 21 catches, 239 yards, averaging 11.4 yards a catch and 1 touchdown. What are your thoughts on Smitty? Because obviously he's a great player, especially for his size and everything that he does. But I feel like when he's been put in the position to be the number 1 receiver, he really is not a number 1 receiver. He is a number 2, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. AJ Brown's definitely better, but I'll give Smitty a B+ just because he's averaging a first down per catch. So if you're doing that, yeah, I mean, you're serviceable, so that's good.
Oh yeah, like he's probably he's one of the best number 2s in the league.
Yeah.
So I would agree B+. Nobody else really of note there. We're not going to talk about all the the Paris Campbell whatever, but I mean Jahan Dotson is, we kind of have to mention him. Only 5 catches for 25 yards. I mean, he is averaging 5 yards a catch, which is pretty fucking terrible, but at least it's not fucking under 5. His long is for 7 yards. Is this officially a bust?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it definitely is.
What do you expect? What do you expect from him the rest of the year?
It sucks because I was so high on that trade. I really was. And the fact that they gave up a 3rd rounder to get a guy that's averaging 5 yards per catch in a game where he was relied on as pretty much the number 1, like just such a bust, man.
Now, is that on Hurts not throwing it to him, or no?
He's not open. Like if Hurts can't see him and Hurts thinks he's covered, he's not going to throw to him.
I love the positivity for Hurts from you.
He can't get any separation. Like, if you can't get any separation, there's a reason why Washington got rid of him. Maybe that's because he stinks.
Yeah, I mean, and Olamide Zaccheaus, who, fun fact, guys, I actually played football with him, Pee Wee football, which is crazy just to see his name. He's Washington's leading receiver right now for Jalen. And I mean, come on, he was the 3 here, and they even brought in Julio, so he might have been the 4 last year. And Jalen Daniels making him look pretty good right now. So maybe we should have kept him.
Yeah.
Moving on to the defense, our leading tackler is Zach Bond. He obviously had those 2 sacks in the Packers game. He's got 29 solo tackles, 14 assists. He obviously hasn't made that big of an impact since then, or since he did pretty good in Atlanta, even though people thought the defense sucked in that game. What are your opinions on Zach Bond as, is he our best player on defense?
Yeah, right now he is. No, I mean, I'm going to give it 1A, 1B. I'm going to go him, and I'm going to go Quinyon.
Exactly. I was very high on Quinyon too. He has 18 tackles. They don't have freaking the deflections on here, like pass deflections, so that's kind of annoying. Another person of note, Nakobe Dean. He's been terrible the past couple weeks. I think he was decent against the Falcons. I think he had 1 good game, but he was just absolutely terrible against Tampa Bay. And he's someone that we talked a lot about in the offseason. It was a put up or shut up year for him. So what grade would you give him? And what are your thoughts on Nakobe Dean on this team long term? I can't see giving him another contract.
I think he's absolutely terrible, and I think me giving him a D is a compliment. I think he sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to go somewhere around there, D+. Another interesting person is Reed Blankenship. Obviously, we know he's been outstanding with 2 interceptions. He won the Saints game for us, and the Green Bay game. He pretty much won the game too with that at the end. But last week he did miss a lot of tackles. What's up?
No, I was just visualizing the missed tackle that you're talking about.
Yeah,
it was him and it was Avonte Maddox. I think the Maddox one was worse, but there were a couple.
Yeah, and we've seen him kind of play like this last year a little bit. So, what would you grade him, and what's your concern? Obviously the interceptions are amazing, especially because he's the only one that's been getting them, even going back to last year. So, what is he the future? Are we going to give him eventually a 5-year deal? What's up with him?
No, I don't think Reed Blankenship's all that good. I think we're going to look in the draft next year for a safety. Yeah, I'd give him a C just for what he is.
He's like a low-end starter, or average starter, would you say?
He's a bridge starter.
Yeah. Other people of note, CJ Gardner-Johnson. I mean, if any indication of what Slay and Micah Parsons said on the podcast, he's definitely been disappointing, especially last week with the missed tackles and just kind of I think he's also gotten a couple penalties and he's gotten fined through these 4 games. He's someone that needs to turn it on because we know how good he was in 2022, even for the Lions last year. I mean, maybe there's a reason why they didn't give him a contract and why he was a free agent again.
Yep.
I'm expecting him to be better.
Definitely.
So at this point, you kind of would have to give him like a C around there.
See.
Quinyon Mitchell.
Hey.
I love this guy. I think he's literally deserves an A for being a rookie and only having played 4 games. And he's going up against, like, didn't he break a ball away from like Mike Evans?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Mike Evans said he sucked, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, I'm going to be on you all day," and he was.
So yeah, he gets an A for me. A couple more people. I'm just going to go through these 2 real quick. Avonte Maddox, F. Nolan Smith, F.
Ass. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Jalen Carter?
This far, B minus.
I would say B. He obviously played great against the Saints, but dude, like, I don't know. He seems still immature. We saw what he was doing after that Saints game, and I don't know if he was fucking hot or he's just fat and out of shape last week with the heat, but like, and I was also thinking back to 2022. We didn't have Jalen Carter yet, but we had obviously we still had Fletcher Cox. We had Javon Hargrave. Remember we brought in Adamik Sue and was it Vance? What was that guy from the Giants name? That deep tackle we brought in that played well.
I forget.
Whatever we had after that Washington game where we were undefeated and they beat us on that Monday night. Howie brought those 2 in like the next week. And remember we played the Saints. We played the Saints and we only won like 17-16. That was like a scary game. But yeah, like this defensive line has been a concern even going back to then.
No, it was the Colts, not the Saints.
Oh yeah, I meant to say the Colts.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, do you think that I feel like we need to trade for someone for this D line?
They're going to. They're definitely going to.
You said what? They're going to trade for someone?
They're going to. What I would do is I would trade away total assets for Max Crosby. That's what I would do.
Yeah, that would be definitely a blockbuster. I mean, are the Raiders willing to trade? Because we know Devontae Adams is on the trade block.
Yeah, that team's a joke. I mean, if they just blow up their whole team, no one will miss a beat. You know?
Yeah, it's a shame because I kind of like the Raiders, just like, I don't know, randomly. But yeah, they have not been good in our lifetime, besides that OG Super Bowl they made. Now, of course, the biggest bust on this entire team, which I'm literally scrolling down all the way for the fucking tackles, and Bryce Huff is at 3rd from the bottom. 2 tackles.
Wow. I'm shocked he has 2 tackles.
And Kyle, I didn't even realize he's getting paid like $19 million a year.
Yeah, it's a good contract.
Like this dude, I think I said on the show before, but PFF had him ranked last year as like the 3rd best like pass rusher, like per rush or per play or whatever. And he has been probably the worst defensive end in the entire league. I would love to see anyone else that is worse than him right now.
Well, that's why I don't look at PFF. You know, a lot of people put their heart and souls into like researching PFF. I always thought they were a joke.
So what's your expectations for him the rest of the year? Like, what do we do with this?
I think he's being used as a starter when he's not a starter. I said this in the offseason. He's a rotational piece. He's always gassed out. I think he's a little bit undersized for what he's doing. I think Fangio's not using him correctly. And I think he's a bum. And he's done here. If we could give him back to the Jets for free, I probably would.
Yeah. Do they bring in Hassan Reddick somehow, some way?
They can't.
Actually, we can't. But there's like a trade rule, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which
they can't. They have to wait 2 years.
Is it 2? I thought it was 1.
No, it's 2 years. So 2 years has to pass by before the same team that traded him away could get him back.
Now, will the Jets cut him at some point or no?
No, they're not going to cut him.
Okay. Like no shot.
Because if they cut him, we could take him.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but I don't know if he definitely wouldn't pass waivers though. So
no. Well, depending on where our defense is at and how bad we are, maybe we will get him.
Hopefully not. I mean, at that point, who cares, right?
Yep.
But that is a huge mistake, and we called that back in whenever it was May or whenever the hell they did that trade.
Yeah, it's bad. It was really bad.
And yeah, I mean, that's biting us in the ass right now because he was, 10 sacks a season, almost guaranteed. And now we literally are relying on Brandon Graham, who he's the last person that we can talk about here. 1 sack, 5 tackles. He's playing his heart out, and I'm a big BG guy, and I know you are too since the Super Bowl. Would you bring him back next year again or no?
No. Because as much as he's playing his heart out, and he has the guts, soul, and determination, when you're playing your guts out, when you're playing your soul out on the field, and it amounts to nothing, yeah, you can't really bring him back. He's washed.
We got 2 more people to go over, but I see someone to talk about the Browns. Obviously, next week we're going to focus on that game in depth. It's the bye week, so we're kind of like taking your guys' questions and going through some like housekeeping with the team stats and such. Last 2 players, Jordan Davis and Josh Sweat. I mean, I would give these people like D's probably. They both do have a sack, surprisingly. Did Josh Sweat get a sack last week, or was it against the Saints? I think it was last week.
Yeah, it was last week.
But yeah, I mean, both of these, they both just need to play better.
They're
supposed to be 2 of our best.
See, the more I think about it, the more I think that was a petty move by Howie more than anything. Hassan Reddick wanted a new contract. Howie didn't want to do it, so he signed Josh Sweat instead, who Josh Sweat wasn't even good last year, and he started him instead of him.
Before.
Yeah. I'm starting.
Yeah, I was never a huge fan of Josh Sweat. Yeah, I think he had a good stretch for like 5 games. But talk about, like, he's not a starter. He's kind of like a Bryce Huff type person.
Yeah.
And they're paying him, they make these projections with players like with the Devontae Smith contract, and they sign people early to get them a little bit cheaper than the market value. But that's obviously not going to work every single time.
Yeah. I mean,
it's also hard to trade these players when you pay them like that, because people are not going to take on these contracts unless they are a good player. Like, why would you take on a player that's getting overpaid for his production?
Exactly. They wouldn't. So we're stuck with them.
Yeah, and then we can just talk. Do you want to talk about the kicker?
Yeah, the kicker. I'm gonna go C-. Sorry, Jake.
He's only missed 1 field goal.
It's a big one.
Yeah, and we've seen, with Dallas's kicker and just everybody. Actually, the who was the one that missed back-to-back field goals last night? Was it Tampa or Atlanta's? It was Atlanta's kicker, right?
It was Atlanta's kicker, Koo, yeah.
So that was rare too, but yeah, I mean, it seems like kicking field goals is easier than ever, like making 60-yarders. Last thing, I do want to get to the team stats and how we rank against like the entire league. We're only averaging 21.5 points per game. Our opponents are averaging 24 points.
Right.
Our point differential right now, we've scored 86. We've given up 96. Total touchdowns is actually even 10-10, that doesn't even sound right. Like, we've scored 10 touchdowns and our opponents have scored 10. That doesn't really make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Also, first downs, we've had 83. Our opponents have had 82. So a lot of
so we're a very mediocre team.
Yeah, like 500. That's what our record is, right?
Yep.
I do want to find the team stats real quick. So if you want to ramble for a second while I find that.
Yeah, I'll ramble. I mean, I see some comments in the comment section. Listen, I mean, this show is phenomenal. I think this show has the potential to be one of the best in YouTube in the world. Obviously we need a producer still. We're going to take some calls down the road. I know his cousin wanted to come on, but yeah, we're still figuring things out. This is a yearly show. And yeah,
we're still new. It's only been like 6 months, if that.
Yeah, it's still a brand new show, So It definitely comes with ebbs and flows. Maybe some days I'm not feeling as good, so I let Scotty take over the talking. Some days he's not feeling as good, so I take over the talking. But it's a 1E, 1B side. We both have time to talk. We both orchestrate the show. We both do our thing. And if I have a rant, I know you guys are gonna love to hear that. But right now I don't have a rant, and I'm not gonna fake a rant because I don't have a rant. So it's like, I mean, at the end of the day, listen, hopefully you guys like the show. Hopefully you guys like the content. But I'm not gonna make something that isn't there when it comes to like rants and stuff like that. I'm not fake. There's nothing fake about it.
I got the team stats pulled up, Kyle. Where do you think the Eagles' passing offense ranks from 1 to 32 right now?
Passing offense, 16.
You're like dead on. We're 15. So again, middle of the pack. Who do you think is like in the top 5 for passing right now? Some of these might surprise you.
Minnesota, Buffalo, Cincinnati. I got 2 more. I'm going to say San Fran, even though they got some injuries, and Detroit.
Not bad. San Fran is 1, Bears 2, which is very surprising. Bengals 3, Bills 4, and the Broncos 5.
That's interesting.
Right? That is wrong. Wait, let me see what the heck this is for.
Bears are in the top 5.
Wait, I don't even know what that ranking was. My bad. Passing yards. Obviously, this is a little inflated because the Falcons and Bucks just played. But I don't know what that. I think that might have been like total passing offense. I don't know. But anyway, Atlanta's 1, Seahawks 2, Bucks 3, Texans 4, 49ers 5. That's as far as like total passing yards. And we actually moved up for total passing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, which is pretty good.
All right, who do I have winning the NFC South? I have Atlanta winning the NFC South. To answer
me too. I think they started really slow, and that was an overreaction. But Kirk Cousins probably looks the best ever, and I kind of like have faith in him somehow to make like a playoff run. Surprisingly.
Yeah, definitely.
Where do you think we rank for total rushing offense, rushing yards?
Total rush, and we got to be like 8th.
We're 4th.
Okay.
Ravens, Packers, Commanders, Eagles, Cardinals, and who do you think is the worst at rushing, which is pretty bad?
Oh, it's the Raiders.
Raiders, but it's actually the Raiders are 31, Cowboys are 32. They only have
Wow.
They only have 301 rushing yards.
Yeah, I thought it was the Raiders for sure.
And the Giants are 30. Let's go to defense now, because this is the one that everyone's concerned about. So we're going to see where the Eagles rank for how many yards they've given up, because that's what I like to I like to do by points and yards to judge the defense.
Right.
This is really so. Somehow Tennessee has given up the least amount of yards. That makes absolutely no sense with 567. Were they on a bye last week, or is this the first week of byes? Someone in the comments, is this the first week bye week, or was last week where teams on a bye too? Did the Titans play? Yeah, the Titans beat the Dolphins last week, right? On Monday night?
Yeah.
So no, that's kind of weird. A weird stat. The Eagles are 32, 1, 30, 27. We're the 23rd ranked offense, so kind of like where people thought we'd be. We've given up 990 yards, 7 touchdowns. Yeah, we've only had 2 picks. So it's not like we're the worst defense in the league. And somehow Tampa is actually the worst. And like they've given up the most yards, but people love Todd Bowles. So now it's like, do you agree? Like, would you judge the defenses by who gives up the least amount of yards or no?
No, I judge the defense by who gives up the most amount of points. Because it doesn't matter if you're giving up yards. If you're not giving up points in 6 points, then that's all that matters.
All right, so let me go to points here. I believe that I can. I don't even know this. I should have went to fucking ESPN for team stats, but so what total grades then would you give the offense and defense from like A to F?
So if I'm going the full 4 weeks, I'm going to go C and I'm going to go C.
Yeah, I mean that's what they are, 500. I'm sure some people would give like the defense like an F. I'm probably going to. It's a shame because I was high on the defense until that Tampa game. I think they just totally collapsed, and they are a reason why we lost because they gave up 3 straight touchdowns. Actually, did they give up 4 straight scoring drives? I think with Tampa scoring 24-0. So I would I would kind of have to agree. C and C. I think that's right on the money there for sure.
Yep.
And I will have to look up scoring because that is not on here for some reason. So we will move on. We still pretty much a lot to cover today. For my stands this week, I only have a few. And again, I didn't see this coming. You kind of have been talking about it a lot with Sam Darnold and the Vikings. I picked them to lose to the Giants week 1. I mean, I really wasn't expecting a lot out of them, and they've definitely blown me away. I don't know if they are completely for real, but if they win this week, and I think they play somebody that's not good.
They play the Jets.
So if they're 5-0, I mean, how could they not be for real, right?
Definitely would be for real.
So that's definitely one of my stands this week. Another stand for me is the Baltimore Ravens. After starting 0-2 to blow out the Bills, to blow out the Cowboys. Obviously, the Cowboys came back a little bit. I'm very high on this Ravens team. I think that, and they should have beat the Chiefs. They almost did in the opener. So that I mean, don't sleep on them. They have a 2-2 record. I mean, the same as us right now. But I definitely expect that team to go on a run. I'm a huge fan of Lamar Jackson. Obviously, he has a lot to prove in the playoffs just to get to the Super Bowl, to get that monkey off his back. But I think the Ravens are a great football team, especially adding Derrick Henry, where I think people were saying he was kind of done, and now they're acting like he's great again and one of the best players. But I think he was a little bit disrespected, and keep hearing how the Cowboys are like, oh, we couldn't afford him, but we would have loved to bring him in. I don't think you fucking wanted him. Now you're just saying that because he's doing well. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, I'd agree 100%.
People were not, they were kind of talking shit on Derrick Henry.
Yeah, so I'll give a stand. My stand of the week are the people, everyone helping out in the country, sending to the victims of the hurricane down in Florida and the southern East Coast. Those are my stands. I don't have any NFL stands this week, sports stands. I'm going to go with that just because I live down there. I know what's going down there. It sucks. Our house was not hit, thank God. But there's some major flooding, a lot of houses lost. No one is helping out in this country with money or anything like that. So my stands are the people that are taking their time to go down there, donate, and do whatever they got to do to help people get their houses back. So
no, that's a great one. I actually found out yesterday, it's bad near the beaches. People lost their cars, their homes. Now, not to get political a little bit, but I do think that should fall on the government to give most of that money instead of the citizens.
Yeah, but you got all right. So I'm not trying to get political either, but when you're sending billions on top of billions to other countries and you're sending hurricane victims $750, I have a problem with that. I'm sorry.
No, 100%. That money should definitely be distributed, but with the current economy and inflation, I don't have extra funds to be sending to help these people. I mean, I wish. I love to just fucking be a good person, but if you have those funds, if you are wealthy and well off, 100%, goodness out of your heart to help people in need, for sure.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you have the extra dollar, even your extra time, to help rebuild stuff, that's all you got to do. And I'm going to be down there in December. Hopefully, things are cleared up down there. But if they aren't, I'm going to help out as well because that's just who the person I am. You know. But
We
other
got
than
King,
that,
we got King here commenting again.
I mean, yeah, I'm seeing it. He said he said he was going to catch us later, and then he said he was going to hold up for your comment. He obviously, I think he disagreed with it. I think
With what?
I don't know.
With
So,
what?
King,
Like,
what did you disagree with what he said there? Because I thought what he said there was pretty accurate. I
yeah.
don't, like I said, I don't really agree with him much on politics, but like he didn't say anything bad there.
Yeah, like what about it should be on the government to provide most of the
It
funds
should
to
be.
help that?
It
Like,
should be.
yeah, like
They take
and
all of our fucking money.
I don't even know like how that's like related to what I said. Like that's
Yeah.
just like a general thing, and I don't know. I just think that us as a country, we should be helping our people, no matter who the
Yeah,
president
it's human
is,
decency.
whatever.
It has nothing to do with politics.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, yeah, I like when people comment, chime in, but everyone's got to be fair. And that comment that he said was pretty damn fair. So I don't see any problem with it. He said love you, Scotty. So there you go.
Alrighty, we're gonna move on to who's canceled and King's canceled. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. We've had some fun today, King.
Yep.
I don't want to cancel Nick Sirianni and the Eagles, but who do I think I need to cancel somebody on the Eagles. Yeah, I mean, if Sirianni, if they don't beat the Browns, yeah, Sirianni's canceled. Would you agree?
No, yeah, I would agree. I don't. I mean, I agree and disagree just because the Browns are starving for a win, and I think they're catching us at a good time. So unfortunately,
can't they beat Washington? We're gonna get to our picks in a minute, but
well, Washington's tough right now. Their defense is rat ass, but like
they're only a 3-point. They're only a 3-point favorite.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see this week. If the Browns beat Washington, maybe my head will be on a swivel. But at the same time, I don't think the Browns are all that good. So yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you. If the Eagles can't beat the Browns, like who can they beat?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, again, they're playing the Giants, Jags, who are 0-4. Hopefully they get a win because I don't want to see Dougie P get fired for sure down there.
Yeah.
But we will see. If anyone else that I want to cancel.
King says cancel Hurts.
Yeah, I feel like Kyle's kind of like talked me into being positive today about him. And again, but I think it's a legitimate reason he didn't fucking play with his best two receivers.
Yeah.
So I kind of always said that was a big deal. But yeah, I'll fucking cancel the turnovers because I'm done with that shit. Like, you're not going to win. Like, especially not even the interceptions, but the fucking stripped sacks. Like, he's kind of cut down the interceptions a bit. But, like, bro, like, you look like a fucking moron out there getting stripped like that.
Yeah, it really does, especially when he forgets that the guy behind him that he just dodged is just gone. He steps up like 2 feet and he acts like he has all the time in the world. The guy's
he's acting like it's a video game and he like has to regenerate and he goes back to the line or something.
Like how far did he think the defender went back when he mistackled him? Like how far did he think he went back? Because the way that he went up in the pocket and took his time, like it made it seem like he went back a half mile. Like you got to be smarter. I'm sorry.
Yeah, another person you want to cancel is the fucking every offensive coach. I don't know if you want to cancel Kellen Moore, but like, what the fuck are they doing during the week to make that not happen? The quarterback coach, all these offensive assistants, isn't he getting? Like, he must like. If I was a coach and he's getting paid whatever $250 million, like I would not want to watch that fucking film. Like I would have my head in the fucking desk and back in the day, like I feel like you'd be getting screamed at, no? Like for making these types of plays. Like, do they still do that or no?
No, because everyone's sensitive and everyone needs a safe space.
So I don't know how they justify that. I mean, week after week, it's I'd be fucking embarrassed if I was hurt. Right?
Yeah, I mean, $250 million quarterback. So,
all right, we're gonna get to our power rankings. We're doing our top 5. Second week in a row that we've been doing this. Kyle, I will let you kick off because I think I did my first 5. Possibly.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll let you kick off.
Well, I got to pull up the power rankings first. So last week I had, who did I have? I had number 5. I think I forget who did I have.
Did you put them down or no?
I did not put them down. I'm very unprepared when it comes to that.
I'll let you start keeping track of that. We can just start fresh this week.
All right, sounds good. All right, so I know I had number 4 Eagles. They're gonna drop out, so it doesn't even matter.
Did I have us in the top 5 too? I think I might have.
Yeah, you did.
Oh God.
All right. Oh yeah, there we go.
Get your notes app. So put this in. I'll have you keep track of this.
All right, so I'm looking at the teams right now. Okay, this is based off of what I believe is going to happen down the road and today put into one. So the number 5 team in the NFL today is the San Francisco 49ers. I like the talent that they have. I still like their coaching. They have a really good quarterback that fits well with that system. Great tight end, 3 great wide receivers. They have Ricky Brissall coming back next week, the guy that got shot in San Fran at the beginning of the season. Apparently, he's going to be a stud. They have a ton of offense. Christian McCaffrey might come back at the end of the year, so I got to put them number 5.
Oh, right. You want to go back and forth?
Yeah.
Number 5 for me, which I'm trying to – oh, my God. They dropped us a lot. Holy fuck. I'm looking at the NFL power rankings right now. Number 5 for me, I would have to give it to the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
I think that was a big loss against Baltimore. Like, they should not have gotten blown out like that. Now, in reality, Josh Allen is their best player by far, and he's making everyone around him look better, which is what we wish Jalen Hurts was doing right now. Of course, his receiver core is better than Paris Campbell and Jahan Dotson as of late. But yeah, I have the Bills at 5. Still think that they're a great team. But after they lost to Baltimore, I can't put them any higher.
Yeah. Okay. So number 4, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. I think being at 4-0, it's a bright spot. Definitely a bright spot for them, especially when Patrick Mahomes is not playing well. And they really don't have any weapons at the wide receiver position. So I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl this year unless they add like Tyreek Hill at the trade deadline, which is possible. But for right now, I'm going to put them number 4 just because of the lack of talent they have in Rashee Rice. Looks like he tore his ACL. So that's where I'm going to put them.
Yeah. I can't disagree there. Even though I do disagree. Number 4, I have the Detroit Lions. An amazing game for Jared Goff on Monday night. Like, absolutely insane. And the Seahawks, they're like under an underrated, decent team. They just win with Geno Smith at quarterback, which I still can't believe he's their starter. No more Pete Carroll, no more. Besides like DJ Metcalf, they don't have big names on that team. But they're still staying afloat. But the Lions are super talented. I love Amon-Ra St. Brown. I love Aiden Hutchinson. Even Dan Campbell, he was made fun of when he first started for the kneecaps thing. But he's such a player's coach and just seems like someone that you would want to play for and just very relatable, especially to, like alpha males like in the NFL. So, yeah, I'm still high on the Lions. So I'm putting them at 4.
Okay. Number 3, I'm going to go the Buffalo Bills. I had them at number 2 last week. The Buffalo Bills, they got demolished in Baltimore. But here's the thing. Every good team gets demolished at one point in the season, whether you like it or not. During the Super Bowl season, Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles went into Seattle, and they didn't stand a chance in that game. So, you have to look at it through field vision. You gotta see that this team could come back, and I think they have a ton of weapons. And I still think they're a really well-rounded group. So give me them at number 3.
Number 3 for me is the Baltimore Ravens. I just talked about them a little bit before we even started this. So I'm not going to, repeat myself that much. But, yeah, I love this team. Again, starting 0-2 and then winning your next 2 is very resilient. I think they have tons of playmakers. Their coach has been there before. And I think it's going to be, especially when it starts to get colder into the winter months, they know how they can run the football better than ever. With Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, that's going to be very hard to stop. So it might be a little high for them at this point, but I don't know. I think it's going to be hard for anyone to beat them. So
Okay.
and they just beat the Bills. So how could I not have them above Buffalo? So they're number 3 for me.
Yeah. Unranked last week, hopping to number 2 in my power rankings, the Detroit Lions. So here's the thing with Detroit. The reason why I had them unranked last week is because they had some shoddy wins to start the season. You know how you have some losses where it's like, wow, this team sucks? Well, they had some wins where I'm like, this team could get beaten. And usually I don't put a team in the top 5.
The Rams game.
Yeah, usually I put a team and I don't put teams in the top 5 where I'm like, wow, they could really get beaten, at any particular time. But on Monday night against a Seattle team that was 3-0 with a ton of weapons and playing with cohesion, I see a Detroit Lions team that has 2 stellar running backs in David Montgomery and Jamar Gibbs. Amon-Ra St. Brown, they have Sam Laporta, Jared Goff playing his ass off. I got to put them at number 2 until they prove me wrong.
Can't disagree. Number 2 for me, which again, this is probably the shocker of the season so far. It's the Minnesota Vikings, and I know a lot of people have them number 1, which I wouldn't be surprised if you do. But yeah, they're playing way above their heads. I guess I'll put my number 1 as Kansas City, and I'm just like, the way I'm deciding that is, are you really going to take Minnesota to beat the Chiefs right now?
Absolutely.
See, absolutely. Really, you would. They could beat Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid.
Absolutely. The Minnesota Vikings, they're by far, not even close, by far the most well-rounded, polished team in the NFL right now. They have the superstars. They have a quarterback that is playing his ass off, looking like the Sam Darnold everyone expected to be in the league. They have Addison. They have Justin Jefferson. They have Adam Jones at running back. They have really well-rounded backups. They have a good defense. I think this team is by far the best team in the NFL this year, and they're going to be scary. They're going to be scary down the road, man, when it comes to the Super Bowl. I'm telling you. This might be their year.
I would be very, very surprised. Like I said, I don't know if this Cinderella run is going to last forever. But they're number 2 for me. I would not take them to beat the Chiefs right now in the Super Bowl. So that's why I still have the Chiefs number 1. Until they haven't even lost a game. Yeah, they didn't look – they had to come back to beat the Chargers last week. And obviously Travis Kelce, he played all right, but he's their number 1 weapon now. Like, that's all they have left. Even though they did bring back Kareem Hunt. So we'll see. But yeah. So my wrap-up was Buffalo 5, Lions 4, Ravens 3, Vikings 2, Chiefs 1.
Sweet. I had Vikings 1, Detroit 2, Bills 3. Number 4 was – who was number 4?
I know number 4?
No, it wasn't.
I think it wasn't. Didn't you have San Fran in there or no?
No, it's San Fran at number 5. Number 4 was.
How did you forget already?
I don't know, man.
Bro, are you writing this shit down? Come on.
No. Number 4 was Kansas City.
Jesus. Yeah, I think that's low for the Chiefs, but I get what they just suffered injury that's going to hurt them. But
they're just a very forgettable. They're a very forgettable 4-0 team. Let's just put it that way.
Because they haven't had any dominant wins, but we've seen Patrick Mahomes. He's like Tom Brady. He'll make any wide receiver look good.
Yeah.
All right, we are. If you want to talk about your fantasy real quick, or we're going to wrap up the show.
All right. So in my fantasy league, the sleeper league, I am 2-2. My team this week is absolute dog shit. I have about half my roster out due to injury or buys. So I'm going against one of my buds this week. I'm expected to lose, but you never know with Tyreek Hill on your roster. Granted, he doesn't have Tua. I understand that, but they're playing New England, who absolutely suck. So I'm going to rely on him a lot to go well over his projection. I'm starting McLaughlin on Denver as my running back. I'm starting Goodson on Indy as my running back. This week, I'm deciding to I'm deciding to sit Addison for Mike Williams on the Jets. This is a guy that's been ramping it up every single week, and he's looked better every single week. I think Mike Williams is going to be your true number one when it's all said and done. So that's who I'm going to put in there. And I'm looking to win this week for sure. And I think it's going to be a major upset if I do. With that said, Scotty joined that league as well as the 0-4 team. And we'll see if he could take care of it and bring them to the promised land. But on my other team, the ESPN League, I have a 3-1 team, awesome team, spectacular team. The only time I lost by 1 point. It was like 168 to 167. So you can't win them all, and that's pretty much how fantasy wraps up.
Yeah, I just joined their league because the person that I'm taking over for their team was just very controversial. I guess we'll just put it lightly. And you were right. I should have been in there since week 1, but it is what it is. We'll see. I have no comment because I got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll give an update. Maybe I'll win. We'll see. Maybe I'll do a little upset. That would be a nice bow for me this week.
Maybe you'll win. Maybe you'll win.
Maybe
you'll win. Maybe you'll win with Jerry Jeudy as your number 1 receiver.
You never know, right?
Yep.
Moving on to our weekly picks, and Kyle, you just shared that. See if I try to make it a little bit more close up, or no?
Yeah.
Is it good? Make it more. All right, cool. All righty. So we did text each other for our pick Thursday night football. We both had Atlanta over Tampa, and that was a really, really good game. Falcons are now all of a sudden 3-2.
Yep.
So, and the Bucks fall to 3-2. So both pretty good teams, and all of a sudden the NFC South doesn't look to be the worst division anymore like they were last year. So good for them. And of course, those are both of the teams that we lost to.
Yep.
So, and look, they scored a ton of points. So, they're definitely better than we thought.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm also reviewing our picks from last week. I'm a little unprepared here that I don't have the results, but I'll get you guys that. Actually, before last week, me and Kyle are actually dead tied in our picks, which is wild because we've had a lot of different picks. We're both 24 and 23. Of course, I did not add week 4 yet, but I will get to that for you guys. Kyle, let's start off. We are back in London. The international games are here, 9:30 a.m. Jets versus Vikings.
I'm going to go with the Vikings just because I'm going to roll with Sam Darnold and what's working for him right now. The Jets, in my opinion, they're kind of fraudulent. I'm not going to lie to you. Like I said, I'm relying on Mike Williams to be a stud in fantasy, but that doesn't really mean anything. Aaron Rodgers has shown his age. They lost to I'm not going to say bad Broncos team, but definitely not better than what they should have been in the Jets. So I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings with a score of 27-20.
Now, why is Minnesota – are they still favored only by 1?
No, they're underdogs.
So the Jets are favored by 1.
No, the Jets are 2.5 underdogs. My fault.
Okay, because last time I looked, it was only Minnesota by 1. Why is that line so low? Just because it's Aaron Rodgers?
No, they just sometimes Vegas likes to trick people because people have it down pat and they're like, "Why is the line like you just said? Why is the line different?" No, they just like to trick people sometimes.
All right, so we are both going Minnesota there. What do you think of the Jets? Is it just like, are they just a 500 team?
Yeah, they're not very good, like at all.
Will Rodgers be there next year, or is he going to retire?
At this point, I wouldn't bring him back. No, I would go for another quarterback.
That's such a shame for the Jets. But yeah, I think they was always overhyped. And I think last year, I don't know, is the team better than last year? I mean, obviously Rodgers is playing, but for some reason I feel like last year could have been lightning in a bottle for them.
Last year they couldn't even move the ball down the field. So yeah, I think they're a little bit better.
Well, do you think the defense was better last year?
Oh yeah, by far.
Bryce Hall.
They had Bryce Hall on the team.
Panthers at Bears. Panthers have they turned it around with Andy Dalton, like I thought they would. They beat the Raiders, and I had that great upset pick. You actually had them last week, unfortunately, and you weren't correct. The Bengals won.
Thanks.
They're traveling to Chicago here. I'm definitely going to take the Bears. I think this could be a nice little Caleb Williams game. I mean, it should be.
Okay. I'm definitely going to take the Panthers. I think that the Panthers are going to win this one. I mean, call me crazy, but I still don't think the Bears have a balance as a team. They're 4-point favorites at home. Like you said, they won last week, right? And I just think the Panthers are going to win.
No, Panthers lost last week. They won the week before.
Oh no, I'm talking about the Bears.
Oh yeah, did they win? They played the Rams. They did win. Yeah.
Yep.
And you actually were on the money. I did not. I picked the Rams last week. This is a really good 1:00 game. Ravens at the Bengals.
Really good.
Obviously, the Bengals have been a disappointment. They did finally win a game against Carolina last week. They won by 10. They let Carolina score 24 points. And of course, that was kind of a revenge game for Andy Dalton playing the Bengals. But again, I think the Ravens are just so much better than them. Now, the Bengals really need to win this game because 1-4 is pretty bad and hard to come back from. It's at Cincinnati, but I don't know. I just don't think the Bengals, unfortunately, are going to be that good this year, at least record-wise. So I'm taking the Ravens.
Yeah, I'm taking the Ravens too. I think the Bengals suck. You're completely right.
Cool. Probably the best game of the week, possibly Bills at Texans. Obviously, the Bills, they want to get that taste out of their mouth from pretty much just getting absolutely trounced by the Ravens. And we saw the Texans bounce back last week, albeit against the 0-4 Jaguars. And I actually picked the Jags to win, and they almost did. So, yeah, I think the Texans are in a little bit of a slump, and they're playing a team a lot fucking leaps and bounds better than the Jaguars this week.
Yep.
They are at home, but I'm going to take Buffalo to win.
Yeah, I'm going to take Buffalo to bounce back as well. I agree with everything you said. I mean, the Texans, to me, they're a good team, but they're nothing special. The Bills are one of my top 3 teams, so I'm going to ride with the Bills.
Yeah, actually, the NFL Power Rankings, they have Texans at like 5, which is
I don't get it.
It's just CJ Stroud love, right?
Yep.
All right, so I'm trying to do this as we go here. Colts at Jags. Jaguars need to win, so I'm going to take
interesting. It's interesting. This is an interesting one.
As far as like hard to pick.
Yeah, because the Colts don't have any running backs this week. They don't even know if Anthony Richardson's playing.
So who are you picking?
I'm going to take the Jaguars to win this one.
Smart. And I mean, our picks are more similar this week than ever. Let's see if this continues as we wrap up here. An awful game. Dolphins at Patriots. I kind of called this, without Tua Tagovailoa, the Dolphins have just kind of been irrelevant. The Patriots have kind of played tough. Obviously, they got blown out by San Francisco last week. San Francisco is still a pretty decent team, even missing Christian McCaffrey. And the Dolphins need to win I'm picking a lot of road teams this week. But yeah, the Dolphins they want to if Tua ever comes back this year, which I don't think he should, they need to win this game. So I will take Miami.
I'm going to take the Patriots, believe it or not. I think that the Miami Dolphins, after what I saw at their own home stadium against the Tennessee Titans, they couldn't even move the ball. They had no cohesion. Their team looked like a clusterfuck. And they let Mason Rudolph score on them at will. I think that this Miami Dolphins team is actually one of the worst in the league other than the Raiders. So that just goes to show you how great Tua is in that offense. And a lot of people don't give him credit for that. So I'm going to take the Patriots this week.
I don't know what's going on with NFL.com. These logos are fucking missing, but whatever. Browns at Commanders. I guess I'm gonna be the week of the aways, which is always dicey, and we know the home team, like in the history, it's usually the home team is it's always a better winning percentage. But I think it's time for the Commanders to just come back to earth a tad. And I think this kind of has trap game. I mean, if you want to, I mean, the Commanders are 3-1. I don't know if you want to say that they're so much better than the Browns. You could say yes at this point. But I feel like the Commanders haven't really gotten the respect of how well they've been playing. And Jalen Daniels, I mean, he's actually, I think he did win. I don't know if he won NFC Player of the Month or he won like NFL Rookie of the Month for September.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking the Browns. I just think that I'm just feeling an upset here.
I'll go with the Browns as well. The
Commanders, really? You feel the same thing?
The Commanders have been playing well, but I view this as a trap to where maybe they overlook their opponent a little bit. They've been playing
like smelling themselves.
Yeah, they smell themselves a little bit. I mean, yes, they've been beating opponents. They beat the Bengals on Monday Night Football. I understand that, but you don't really know how shitty these teams are. And they scored 7 field goals against the Giants in week 2, and they didn't have any offense that game whatsoever. So if this is the clusterfuck game of the week, it has to be that one. Give me the Browns.
Next game. Now, the Broncos always do me dirty because I think I picked them to win the first 2 weeks. They lost, and then they won the next 2. And this game could clearly go either way. I'm going to pick Denver, and let's hope I finally get it right with them because, the Raiders talked this week about trading Devontae Adams. I don't know how, that could be encouraging for the locker room. I mean, maybe they just want to say, fuck the world, and we're still going to be competitive. But the Broncos are on a 2-game winning streak, so I'll take the Broncos.
Yeah, I mean, I want to take the Raiders, but I can't do it. I'm going to go the Broncos.
Yeah, our picks are more similar than ever.
Yeah.
Next game, Packers at Rams. This is kind of weird, and it's on CBS. So I guess this is like a big game, which is kind of not. It's at the Rams. Rams need to win. Obviously, they've had so many injuries. Jordan Love will be back 2 weeks. He played last week since the injury. I'm going to take the Rams here, though. I think the Rams, they need to win.
Yeah, you're absolutely insane. No Cooper Kupp, no party. I don't care if they have Kieran Williams. I don't care if they have Matt Stafford playing the way he is. I don't care. This Packers team is too good to get beat by a 1-3 Rams team without their stars. Give me the Packers on the road.
All right. Giants at Seahawks. I mean, could this be a little Giants upset? They typically play well against Seattle, surprisingly, but I just don't see it. I mean, the Seahawks played super well against the Lions, and we know the Lions are one of the best teams. So I will take Seattle.
I don't know. Seattle kind of looked like dog shit the other week. And the Giants, they held their own against a really bad Cowboys team. So.
Wait, which week? Against the Lions?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think they still were more competitive than you thought that they would be. No?
Yeah, I guess so. I'll take Seattle, though. I'm not picking the Giants.
All right, and we're wrapping up these games here. Sunday Night Football, this will be a very high-rated game because of the 2 franchises playing. It's Cowboys at Steelers. Steelers, they won last week, right? Or no?
They did. I think they did.
Oh, they lost to the Colts and upset. We actually both picked the Colts.
Yep.
Yeah. So they obviously are a little bit overrated because of their quarterback situation. Is this a win for the Cowboys to get back on track? It's in Pittsburgh. If this was in Dallas, I'd probably pick the Cowboys, but I'm going to go with the Steelers.
Yeah, the Steelers are going to absolutely obliterate the Cowboys. They're going to beat the Cowboys by 20 points. Yeah.
Really?
The Cowboys are awful. They're god-awful.
They barely beat the Giants. And then Monday night, I feel like you picked against the Chiefs a couple times, and that's kind of like bitten you in the ass a little bit. And we know the Saints aren't an elite team. Obviously, that fall from grace from that awesome 2-0 start. So I don't see them going to Kansas City and winning on Monday night. Give me KC.
Yeah, give me Casey as well. And what's your
Awesome.
lock of the week there, buddy?
My lock of the week. Oh, did we missed San Francisco, Arizona?
Oh, okay.
Taking
I'll
the
make it
49.
easy. I'm gonna go San Fran.
Yeah, same. And that could be my lock of the week, but I will take. Yeah, I think that is. Yeah, I'm gonna play it safe, and that's gonna be my lock of the week. Boring, but yeah, I'm taking San Fran.
All right, my lock of the week is the Pittsburgh Steelers to beat the Dallas Cowboys, and the
That's
NFC East
bold.
is
I
back
love
in
that.
good terms.
That is bold. I love that.
Yep.
All right, guys. So next week we're gonna have a recap of how we've been doing, who's in the lead for our picks. We've done it for 5 weeks now, so yeah, it's definitely heating up. This was a great bye-week show. We talked about a lot. We an hour and a half here, went a little bit over time.
Mhm.
But yeah, just to wrap it up with the Birds, it's wait and see. I think me and Kyle are both feeling, we're diehard fans, so we're optimistic for the rest of the season. And I mean, the reason we have to be number one, getting starters back, number two, the schedule. I mean, it's now or never. If you can't beat some of the worst teams thus far, that just says who the Eagles are.
Exactly. So we got to wait for our talent to come back. Hopefully, everyone's back against the Browns. We go 3-2, and everyone's happy and goes and does whatever they want to do, and we're back on the Super Bowl run. But right now, right now, we're kind of skeptical, obviously. But you have a right to be skeptical. The bye week came at the right time, and we're happy. So thank you again for joining us on another edition of Fall Like an Eagle podcast. Hopefully, you guys join us again next Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, and we'll be back with the goods. So, with that said, we're out. Fly, Eagles, fly.